Shalom, I'm Stuart Dauermann from Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges where history builds walls. One of our projects is the CHavurah Action Initiative, because there's no place like home for the people of God. Today, we're going to be looking deeper into that subject with Dr. Bruce Stokes, who partners with me in the CHavurah Action Initiative. Our subject for today is household spirituality and spiritual formation. Hello, Bruce.
Hi, Rabbi Stuart.
Nice to see you. So talk to us about spiritual formation and household spirituality.
All right. Well, there are three forms of spiritual formation. And the primary form is for a Jew or a Christian to be formed as a mature believer within a household, a family. God, through Moses, told this to Israel. He said, "These words that I'm commanding you shall be on your heart, and you shall diligently teach them to your children." And the Apostle Paul says the very same thing to the believers at Ephesus and Colossae when he says, "Fathers, bring up your children in the admonition and nurture of the Lord." This spiritual formation of a child to an adult is synchronic between the physical and the intellectual and the social maturity. And this home-based formation really is the goal of religious parenting.
Well, what about people who are not raised in a home like this? What about people who are not really religious believers? What about them?
You're talking about converts, and I'm one of
Yes.
those. Of course, there are other types of spiritual formation. So the converts are adults who were not part of a serious religious home, and they have to be transformed. And I believe this spiritual transformation is best when it's connected to a family and a religious home, so that the transformation is relational and not programmed. In addition to that, many Jewish and Gentile Yeshua believers are really ill-formed or malformed because of our increasingly secular culture, and also the loss of relational community in many congregations. So these people need to be reformed through an intensive care approach. And I think that connecting them to a mentoring household allows the remediation to take place in a relational context.
Yes, but people have been living in households ever since the Garden of Eden. So has something happened to households that makes them ineffective in this regard?
Yeah, in the 20th century, American culture moved from the rural setting to the urban setting, and then they moved to the suburb. And the move to the urban setting was disastrous to the family. And so the suburban move was really a promise for a better result. The result, though, was different. It ended up with us having a commuter life, requiring two incomes, fewer relationships with neighbors, and then congregations began to move away from being a community of believers to a consumer business model with people belonging to congregations without really knowing the person sitting next to them in any really significant way. So we moved from a relational community to a collective of individuals who tend to only know each other minimally or in utilitarian ways. And real spiritual formation can't happen in that kind of a context. So I believe we've stunted the spiritual development of large numbers of believers.
Okay. Well, it sounds pretty serious. So tell me, what are you suggesting?
Well, we have to return to the household as the primary place of spiritual formation, and then let the congregation be supportive and supplemental to the household. And that's really the intent of HI. The CHavurah Action Initiative is really focused on the development of intentional, religious, Messianic Jewish homes and Havarot, and also the development of intentional religious Gentile households and house churches where the Gentile Yeshua believers can return to the task of spiritual formation within the household. And then we hope to connect the Havurot and house churches to each other, not in a programmed way, not in an organizational way, but in a relational way that enhances the greater community of believers in Yeshua.
Well, as I look back on my life, I know that the spiritual formation that I went through was always through small gatherings of people, face-to-face spirituality. So this is a very important thing you're talking about, Bruce, and we're going to look forward to speaking about it more in the days ahead. So I want to thank you and everyone. This is Stuart Dauermann and Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges, where history builds walls, and our project, CHai, the CHavurah Action Initiative, because there's no place like home for the people of God. Shalom to everyone. Bye-bye.